Hello and welcome to another epic conversation video. I'm really excited to introduce you to Monique. Look at that smile. I mean, come on. Hi, Monique.
Hello. Hey, Katie. Thanks so much for the generous invitation to be on your fabulous show. I'm honored to be a guest.
It never ceases to amuse me when people say they're honored, like I'm a big deal or something. But anyway, tell us, where are you from and where do you live? And, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, where am I from? I spent the first 40 years of my life in, get ready, Vancouver, not Canada, Washington, not DC, near Portland, not Oregon, in Clark County, not Nevada. That's pretty much how we always had to say. We lived in Vancouver, Washington, near Portland, Oregon. So many of us used to just say we were from Seattle, aka the Pacific Northwest or the upper left. But 8 years ago, I moved to sunny, beautiful Colorado State. I live about an hour north of Denver. So my profession is a pet and people photographer, and we're sitting in my studio space right now. And before this, I was actually a manager at a veterinary practice for 10 or 12 years in Washington State. And then I also worked at a vet here in Colorado. But when I left the veterinary world, I missed all the animals, and my portrait photography business just felt like it was missing something. So I melded those two worlds together, and we have Silverpawstudio Pet and People Photography. I spent a huge portion of my life raising a bunch of kids, and now I am engaged to a wonderful man named Steve, and I have a new grandkid on the way, a grandson on the way that'll be here early 2021. How exciting is that?
Can you share a little bit about your YouTube channel as well?
I talk all about pet and people photography. So a really short backstory on that is, as a pet photographer, I do a lot of volunteer work at shelters and causes for animals, and I was looking everywhere for more guidance and information on how to take pictures of a cat in a shelter, or all kinds of things for pet photography, and I just didn't find anything. So after a little bit of thought, I finally decided to start YouTube myself in January of 2019, so almost 2 years ago now.
What is your passion in creating? Who are you doing it for?
What is my passion and who do I create it for? Those are two big questions, Katie. Oh my gosh. So my tagline that I say in all of this stuff is, I am empowering you to tell all of your tales with tales, and generally that's through photography and videography. And that came about because I realized that every story I ever tell has something about an animal. Every story I ever thought that, hey, I'm in a group setting, I have a cool story, and it always led with an animal, and so animal tales, get it? So all of my tales have tales, my stories have animals. So that's kind of where my passion has come from, and I really feel like everybody else has this tale to tell too. And so I kind of draw those people to me, and I'm drawn to them. They work in animal business or causes, and sometimes we might feel a little bit ostracized, like, oh, okay, that's an animal lover. But I get it. I get who these people are, and they get who I am. And so that's kind of what I've devoted the last many years of my life to.
That is so great that you know who your people are. So here's another one. Are you an emotional person or a logically minded person?
Wiggles? Katie would like to know if I am more of a logical person or an emotionally minded person. What do you think? Oh my gosh. I think I'm generally a pretty logical person, but in the sense that I'm very, what is the word for it? Like WYSIWYG, what you see is what you get. So I'm literal, I guess is what it is. if somebody says this, then that's what it is. And so I kind of think of myself as a logical person, but I've also got a pretty emotional side too. Working in the vet industry, we saw like great things and sad things, and I see that with my clients too, and obviously in the world. And it's tough to kind of manage both those sides. I would say first I probably lead a little logical, but I'm working on incorporating all those pieces of me together. I think for a long time it was people around me did not like me to show emotion, or at least only show happy. And so it's taken me a few years now to be able to say, you know what? All the emotions are okay, and they're all okay to feel. So I hope that answers that question. It's making me emotional.
Yeah, it definitely does. And it is so true. All the emotions are good. They're all necessary. They're all a part of who we are. Here's a very broad one. Who has influenced your journey, and how have they done that? I know it's broad, but we're getting to know each other.
Who has influenced my journey? Wow. I have to say, maybe number one, my kids. Now I'm getting emotional again. Because my kids have really showed me what they can be and what they can do. And so they're pretty well-rounded, And so I get a lot of inspiration from my kids. And then like on the business side, Jeffrey Shaw, he's a photographer. He is the host of the Self-Employed Life podcast, used to be Creative Warriors. He wrote the book Lingo. He has a new book on the way. I have been in his coaching groups before. I just really love all of the content he puts out. He's not on YouTube, but he has an amazing podcast. And so he's been a really great influence. At a pivotal point in my business, I signed up for a 6-month group with him and some other photographers. And that really opened my mind to a lot of things in my business, and just kind of almost like gave me permission to do things a quirky way and like how I wanted to do them, things like that. So in my business overall, I would say Jeffrey Shaw. Influences on YouTube. The place that you and I met is through a community of Eric Wen's followers, and he has the Think More Deeply, I don't know if that's the name of his channel, but that's how I think of it, the Think More Deeply group, and just love that group. And I always thought there was more to YouTube than just, how many subs you have, and how many watch times and click-through rates and all that. It has to be something more. So I really love his guidance here on YouTube.
You are such a precious person. Oh my goodness. So let's change directions a little bit. Know any good jokes?
Okay. Do I know any good jokes? This is hysterical because my favorite genre of anything is comedy. I will go to improv shows. I will watch comedy movies. I will watch comedy sitcoms. I will listen. I have a whole comedy channel on Pandora. I love comedy so much. I think part of the reason I'm a photographer is because I don't have the greatest memory. So at this moment, I can't think of any good jokes. Sometimes just whatever comes out of my mouth seems funny, but I wish I had a good joke to share with you. I love puns as well. I have a whole video on YouTube that was for International Bird Day or Global Big Day, and it's all about ornithologist jokes. 101 ornithologists walk into a bar. It's just something I learned in improv, and I just thought, this is silly. I'm just going to put it out there. So I do have that silly video, but I can't remember any of the jokes on there.
So there are a lot of people out there who watch YouTube videos, but they just don't have any clue about what kind of work goes into it all. So, like, what would you say to someone who is curious to start their own channel?
That's a lot. Oh my gosh. It's so much. So I think one of the mistakes that people make when they start on YouTube, well, maybe not a mistake, but they think more about like what they want to do. I think there's a lot of failed like vlog channels because it's kind of boring unless you're that person or in that household. Like, why? So there has to be a reason why I watch. Why would I want to watch your channel? I just find your channel fascinating because you've lived in different countries than you grew up in, and just you have some cool things, and it's kind of like a journal. So I love watching yours. But a random person doing a journal, I don't really care. What's in it for me? So when I make content, I'm constantly thinking like, is this something people need? Is this something they want? Will this be valuable to them? So I'm constantly thinking about that and keeping in mind some of the stuff like we hear on Eric Wen's channel of thinking more deeply. But another piece of advice I would give you is if you want to start YouTube, start. And I've given talks about social media and different aspects of it. And one of the things I always say is, do you ever have a project that you're almost done? You feel like you're maybe 75, 85% done and you're just kind of sitting on it. And then I challenge everyone to say, guess what? You're done now. 85% is done. You're never going to get to full, perfect, 100%. Just do it. My mantra is create, share, repeat. Not everything has to be perfect. And if you want to, go ahead and start. If you have a phone, you can totally do it. And you can always mark them private. If you really feel later like, okay, I'm not feeling that one, just mark it private. But if you really want to, go ahead and start keeping your viewership in mind. Hope that wasn't too rambly. What do you think, Wiggles? Wiggles is okay with that answer. Wiggles is fairly famous on YouTube also. Okay. Now it's my turn to ask you some questions, Katie. Are you ready for this? First of all, I'm going to do a few rapid fire questions. Are you ready?
I hope so.
What's your favorite number?
7.
Mountains or ocean?
Mountains.
Sweet or savory?
Sweet. Oh, and savory.
Favorite color?
Blue.
I can tell you my answers. My answer is favorite number is 50, ocean, sweet, and blue. Oh, I have 2 more questions for you, Katie. Okay? First one's a little deeper. Are you ready?
Oh, yeah, I'm ready. Oh.
I think she's ready, Wiggles. Okay. What advice would you give to your younger self? I hear a lot of people in their early 20s right now just struggling, and a lot of people have posted that on different social medias. What advice would you give your younger self?
Oh, I have given an inordinate. Wait, I just gotta quickly check if that's an actual word. Inordinate. Much more than usual or expected. Yes, it's a word. I have given way too much time to this question. Katie, stop worrying about boys. Seriously. They're not gonna make you feel better about yourself. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not unlovable. You're not a freak.
Totally agree.
It's all gonna be okay.
Yeah.
Just stop trying to make it happen. Just leave boys alone. Just go to Covenant Players. Have your amazing adventures. It's all gonna fall into place. Stop it. Just stop, you idiot. Yeah, that's what I would say.
Yeah. Okay, my last question, Katie, I promise, is a question I'm going to bounce back to you. And what advice would you give people considering starting a YouTube channel? Inquiring minds.
This is a marathon, not a sprint. Make what you love. Make what you'd want to watch. Don't make content because it's searchable, because somebody else has gotten a lot of views doing it and you think it will happen for you. Imagine that what you made went viral. Would you want to be stuck making it for the foreseeable future? Know the costs. Know that there are a lot of haters and just disgusting, mentally minded people there that just spew hate. in grossness, you know, count the cost. So many people, once they're successful, are having to deal with stalkers, are afraid. There is a huge cost. Don't get caught up in these Facebook groups that are just like, watch my video and I'll watch yours. Subscribe to me and I'll subscribe. That's poop. It's crap. Sub for sub is crap.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You want people to watch your videos because they want to, not because they want something in return. I could keep going. I actually have a whole playlist of videos on advice for YouTubers because I'm so passionate about this stuff.
All right. Thanks, Katie, so much for having me on the show. I hope you have a wonderful day and keep creating. Love what you put out and can't wait to see who your next guest is. Oh, I'm going to give you my closing line, okay? I wish you many woofs, purrs, and TREATS's.
Oh, that's so cute because you have to spell it so they don't know what it is. But they're so smart that they start to understand it anyway.
Bye, bye. Wiggle says bye. Bye, bye, bye. Bye, 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 bye.
Dog snout of death.